In this video, I'm going to show you how to repack the bearings with grease on a fifth wheel, or actually a big toy hauler. And I want to say right out of the gate, this is something that I've never done before. So my goal with doing this is to show you that even if you've never done this before, it's not too tough as long as you follow a bunch of steps. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing mic position.
I think it might be a little
No?
too close.
No?
No.
And the first step that I would recommend is making sure, absolutely positive, that you have all the right tools for the job before you start. So I'm just going to start from left to right and explain what you need. So you're going to need these oil and grease seals. Of course, it depends on how many wheels that you have, how many you're going to need. So in my case, we actually have 6 wheels on the trailer, so I needed 6 of these. Now, I have to say right out of the gate, it was kind of a pain trying to figure out what number that I needed, because you absolutely positively need to have the right number. So it was actually surprisingly difficult to find the number that I needed for these. And what I was told to do by Alliance, the RV manufacturer, was go and actually snap a photo of the label that was on our axle. And then, that way I had the right product number for the axle. And then I actually had to reach out to Dexter, the manufacturer, and actually go to their customer support and send them an email and wait for them to get back with me to tell me for sure what item number that I needed. Kind of an antiquated process, if you ask me. I don't know why there's not an easy cross-reference to find this, but that was how it worked. So I was able to go, I got these at O'Reilly Auto Parts, although I have to say that they didn't have 6 of these in stock. So what you might want to do is, if you plan ahead, go ahead and make sure you get the right ones, and then just order them on Amazon or from your trusted auto parts store where you can get them online and get 6 at once, because they had to, it was a pain to get them. Okay, so you definitely want, I use a spoon, and that's going to be to scoop out the grease, because you're going to be using a lot of grease with this. I didn't necessarily want to use my hands to do that. You're going to need a whole bunch of these. Get shop towels and get the real ones. Don't use paper towels to do this job. This stuff is nasty. It's a very dirty, thick grease, and you definitely need these. And these are about $4 a pop, so keep that in mind. You're absolutely going to need a brake parts cleaner. Again, you can get this at any auto parts store or Walmart or whatever. In my case, I actually got spare lug nuts, and I'll go and explain why in a while. You might think it's a little crazy, but in my case, I definitely needed them. I really think that you need a rubber mallet. I really like this because there's definitely situations where you're going to want that over a regular hammer, but you also are going to need a regular hammer. You're also going to need the grease packing tool. Yes, there are ways to pack grease into a bearing, as I understand it, without this thing, but why do that? I mean, this is the proper tool for the job, and it works great. Again, you can pick it up at any auto parts store. Black or whatever color nitrile gloves. You can pick these up at any auto parts store. You're definitely going to want those. But I also think that you're going to want regular heavy duty gloves, because you're going to be moving tires and moving a bunch of heavy stuff. And I just think it's better for that. I actually have a chisel that I use in a certain part of this, that it works a little bit better in certain situations than a screwdriver. It's an alternative, but I think it's an important one. Now this, to me, is a non-negotiable. This is a grease seal puller. This is going to pull the old one of these grease seals out, and it is very difficult, if not impossible, to get these things out without these. But the good news is, for 15 bucks, you can pick these up on Amazon, and it takes literally pop, it comes right out. So I would absolutely get one of these. You're going to need channel locks, no big deal. You're going to need a deep socket, a 3/4 inch in my case, but obviously you want to figure out what size your lug nuts are. You are going to use a regular grease gun as well, and this is for the grease zerts, because when you have your wheel pulled off, you're going to want to grease the zerts in your suspension system. And a good old, I bought the full bucket. This is high temperature disc brake wheel bearing grease. It's red, and it's, again, you can pick it up at any store, any auto parts store, but just get a whole bucket of it, especially if you have 6 like I do. And then last but certainly not least, you're going to need a torque wrench. This is a high quality torque wrench. You need the big ones to turn those big lug nuts. And you're absolutely going to need one of these. So those are all the tools that you're going to need for the job. Oh, And two, also very important things you might overlook. Good old piece of cardboard or something that you don't mind getting dirty, because let me tell you why. When you spray this stuff on the brakes and all that brake dust falls down, it is nasty and black and gross and gets everything dirty in its sight. You want it falling onto the cardboard. And then, of course, last but not least, I already said that once, you need a trash bag, because you're going to have a place to put. Conveniently, you're going to take all this grease, nasty old grease, and you're going to wipe it on these rags. And you're going to want a place to put it, and you're going to put it in a trash bag. So there you have it. Let's get started. Well, here we are. Fast forward to the future, about a week later, because I figured out after I filmed this the first time, I forgot to have the sound on. So here you go. And I get to do the things that I forgot to do anyway. So better than it would have been. All right, so I got the tire slightly off the ground. Now, how I did this, we just raised the jacks on the one side and just a little bit, just to get them, just to lift it up. And then I've got a bottle jack right up under the axle, just a little bit, just to the sheer objective, just to get the wheel off the ground. Now we're just going to take these lug nuts off. Obviously, if you have an impact wrench, it just makes life a heck of a lot easier. If you don't, obviously you can do it with a lug wrench, but I really like having this. I got this at Harbor Freight for around $100. Now, I have had a lot of problems with these lug nuts. I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this until I started doing this project, that these lug nuts are actually covered. They have a cover on it. It's a little chrome cover. And so the actual lug nuts are underneath the chrome cover. And those chrome covers are soft, crappy metal that wants to bend and all this kind of stuff. So when we very first started RVing, I got a little overzealous with doing the torque wrench. And I think I either stripped them or bent them or something. So I have a hell of a time getting these things off sometimes. So it's supposed to be a 3/4 inch. So hopefully we can get that on there. The key is just to make sure that it's way down there. You don't want it to be kind of riding on the top at all. And then I like to put this in there, and then so far so good. Now the other problem I have is these things want to stick inside. So in order to get that out of there, I got to have a screwdriver and a hammer, and I just bang it out of there. And in case I haven't mentioned it, you'll probably hear me say 10 times in this video that I really hate these chrome covers. There it goes. All right, so we're just going to go around and, hope for the best. Oh yeah, and in case you're wondering, I know my tires are dirty. We just got some tire cleaner. We're gonna clean these, but I just didn't get around to doing that quite yet. All right, so another little thing to remember is don't let this fall out of here. If you do, just remember to put it back on before you put the tire back on, or you're gonna be like me the first time I did this and forgot, and then I had to take it off and put it back on. Don't be like me. Just leave that thing in there. Now, here's another thing that I forgot to do the first time, and why it's good for me to make another video. I forgot to grease the zerts. So I would suggest you grease your zerts first. If you don't know what the heck is, zert is, it's these little things right here. You probably have them. And then it allows, and they get all greasy because of course they've got old grease on them. They're kind of like a nipple, for lack of a better word, but that's what they kind of remind me of. So it's just true. These kind of pop on here. And this is gonna, ooh, hey, we get a little, that's actually melted snow, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, it snowed 2 nights ago, and now it's almost 80 degrees. Go, thanks, New Mexico. All right, so I'm just gonna, it's kind of hard to tell when this stuff's going in there because it's all kind of spouting out of the sides. But yeah, we're just gonna come in and grease these while we're here. You can grease them when the tire's on, but as you can see, that would just be a big pain in the butt. So let's just do it right here. It's so easy to get to. The zerts are greased. Okay, so now our next objective is to get this little thing off here. Now, I heard in another YouTube video that there's supposed to be notch in this, and I don't know where the hell the notch is. Maybe it's so slight that I think like I'm seeing things. This thing is a pain in the ass to get out. I'm just going to tell you right now, enough to where I can't really use a screwdriver to do it. I'm going to use a chisel. Okay, so I got a chisel at the hardware store, like $5. Now I go back and forth between the rubber mallet and the regular hammer for this situation when you want to use the regular chisel, because the lip that goes inside the wheel is like a ½ inch. So it's no minor thing to get this thing off. But the key is just to kind of get up under there. Okay, there we go. So I got it started. I just kind of work it around. There we go. Okay, so I just like to leave this. It now becomes my little cup. And we're going to take each part out one by one. This is a simple little part. There's not much to it. It just pop off. There we go. So as you can see, that's literally just holding the screw in place, which may seem a little odd, but the reason they do it like that is because as you can see, this is just finger tight, not even tight. That's the way you want it to be. So they use this part, I don't know what this is called, to kind of keep that screw from moving around, but not coming undone. So that's why it's like that. So we're just going to unscrew this. I probably should switch gloves because these are my big work gloves, and the gloves that I'm gonna start handling the grease with, I'm gonna switch to. Okay, so got my grease gloves on, and then I've got this washer I'm gonna take out. You don't have to be too worried about how you take them out as far as the order goes, because there's really only one logical way to put them back in. Okay, so now we've got the front bearing. Sometimes this will fall out just like that. No, that's not what I meant to do, but there you go. We're gonna clean this up, wash it up and everything. So that's the front bearing. All right, so now we got to get the back bearing off. Now there is a way to do this. Supposedly, see, this back bearing is back behind this, and there's a seal, and the seal is on there super tight. Now, there's some guys that say that you can put this screw back on like this, and it kind of blocks it and creates a barrier to where you can kind of like knock it off on the way out. I have not successfully done that. I've seen guys in YouTube videos do it. I think it's all AI generated. So I cannot seem to make it work, but I'll give it a shot. One, you're kind of like do a downward motion. 1, 2, 3. Nope. So our objective is to get this seal to pop off all at once. And I think it's kind of silly, frankly, because you can get an oil seal puller like this for $15 on Amazon and go, and then it pops it right out in 2 seconds. First line of business is we got to get this oil seal out of here. So like I said, you want to use this oil seal puller, and I just use it's pretty easy. Just kind of this one looks like it's jammed in here pretty good. Just use a little force. You're not going to reuse these. Obviously, this thing is old and we're going to replace it, so you don't have to be super gentle with it. All right, so got that to pop out of there, and this is your rear seal, the rear bearings, I should say. Look at that. That is just nasty. So we are going to repack this, and I am going to set this maybe over here on top of a rag. You definitely want to just have a bunch of rags just kind of sitting around, because this is just a dirty, dirty job. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way for a second. Clear my area for my packer here. I need to put some grease in here. I need to clean all this old junk out. I'm going to put some new grease in. You can see I've been working on this a bit. So I'm just going to clean all this off. And again, you're going to need a lot of towels. So just plan on it. Just have a bunch of these things sitting around and just start throwing them away as you get all this nastiness cleaned off. There we go. All right, set that over there. And I've got the clean grease here in the bottom. So I'm just going to put a bunch more in there. I got my old trusty plastic spoon. All right, so I've got about that much in there. And yeah, so now I'm going to close it back up and get ready to reseal. I'm going to go ahead and I guess just do my big one first. Doesn't really matter. And first of all, before I do that, I'm going to clean it off as best I can, because what I want to do is I want to examine it to see if this bearing has sustained any damage. So I'm just going to take a look at the actual bearings here and see if there's any pitting or anything like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to set it the smaller side down. So when you start screwing it down, the grease is going to come up from the bottom and it's going to push it out of the big holes at the top. Okay, so you got it screwed down like that. Then you're just going to apply pressure. And I just kind of, I mean, you got to push pretty hard. So you can see all the new reds in the bottom. And once I wipe that off at the top, we should see that red at the top. Okay, that's what I like to see. A little more pink. And the black stuff's probably always going to be there a little bit, but I feel pretty good that this is full of new grease. That's the objective. So I'm just going to set this off to the side. That's our rear one. And then I'm going to get my front one and go through the same process. So I'm going to clean this off so I can see if there's any damage to the bearing. If there is damage to the bearings, you're going to just need new bearings. Okay, so these bearings are actually look still pretty good. So I'm just going to go through the same process. Okay, so that's better. Seeing a lot more pink there. All right, so I'm just going to set this. Both my bearings are packed. Now I'm just going to clean off all our parts. Okay, all my parts should now be clean. Now I'm going to deal with this. As you can see, this is filthy. Okay, last but not least, we're gonna take that brake dust cleaner. We're gonna spray it in here. This is, again, it's gonna be a very dirty job. We're gonna want to get some cardboard and spray it over the top of the cardboard. Okay, so here we are. We're gonna put this back on. Our first order of business is to put the bearing back in. I'm just going to kind of pop that in there. So the next order of business would be the washer. And the washer has this nice convenient, there's only one way to put it on there, which I like, dummy proof. And then with your nut, what you want to do, I'm going to put that on there, and you want to do it finger tight at first. So you just want to do your channel locks just enough to tighten it, and then come back a turn, which will essentially make it finger tight. It's kind of a weird deal, but just want to make sure that that thing can move freely, no big deal. And really, what this is, this part, again, there's only one way it can go in. This basically just holds that nut in place. So they're fully expecting you not to tighten it all the way. So they give you this nice convenient part, I don't know what you call that, that's going to keep the nut from falling off, apparently, obviously. And then your last part, you just want one of these. Put this seal back on, and I'm going to use my rubber mallet to put this back on. I like it to be clean. Just going to set that on there like this, and then just work its way around. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so now all we have to do is put our wheel back on, put the lug nuts on, and we'll be back in business. Okay, so now I've lowered the tire, so it's not going to move on me anymore. And I got my torque wrench. Now I've got to set this to 120 foot-pounds. So you do that, you just keep spinning it until it reaches the 120. Okay, we should be good to go. All right, well, now that the work is done, it's time to go fishing, right? So I just want to end the video by just saying that, don't be intimidated by this kind of stuff. You can do it. Hopefully this training video helped you a lot, and you're going to be able to do this kind of stuff by yourself now. It's going to save you a lot of money, and it's the right thing to do to maintain your RV. So if you like this kind of content, please like it and subscribe below. And just one last word is to tell you that get out there and live life like there's no tomorrow.